Okay, everyone, welcome to the show. Let's freaking get into it. And as we do it, if you decide that you like this show, and maybe this hideous dog down here will make it a cameo in a moment. If you decide you like this show, maybe hit the subscribe button and drop us a comment here and there. It helps the channel out quite a bit. Let's talk about this. The dilemma that first-time buyers are being faced with, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, because I really try to be a realist and not, realtors don't have the best reputation in the world, right? We're right up there with car salesmen and lawyers and solar panel salesmen and shit like that. No one really trusts us because we're constantly trying to sell your house. Like, regardless of if it's good for you, we want you to buy and or sell houses. So I try to be a realist with people and just say, all right, look, here's the reality of the situation. So as it pertains to first-time buyers, you're in a tough boat right now. And I don't know when you're not going to be in a tough boat anymore, okay? Because you haven't had favorable conditions in a little while now, for a matter of about 3 years, okay? So here's what we got. From summer of 2020 to the spring of 2022, it was not a good, right about a 2-year run. It's not a good time for first-time buyers. Why? Well, here's the thing you had working for you, is you had really low interest rates. So that was good because that meant that your payment, relative speaking, at least from an interest rate perspective, was going to be good. Like you had it was very cheap to borrow the money. So you had that going for you. Here were the cons. Very high prices. In fact, inflated prices that were higher than they really even should have been, right? So you had these high prices. The other con, cash that's being offered over the listing price in, I'd say, the majority of home sales. I mean, it was very not common that you would see a home sell and it simply sold for the listing price. It was like, hey, we were asking for 300 grand for this house, and someone's like, I'll give you 300 grand. And they're like, cool, great, done. It was like, no, we're offering, 300 grand for the house, and someone comes in and they're like, hey, we'll give you 340, and the $40,000, it's in cash. And here's the other thing working against you: people throwing in appraisal waivers, where they're going, hey, look, regardless of what it appraises for, we're still in. AKA, like, this thing's like locked in and done. Like, we'll cover whatever the bridge is. So if that $300,000 house hypothetically appraises at 290 and we offered 340, we're going to cover the 50 grand that it didn't appraise for. You were seeing a lot of that. So you have these really big things working against first-time buyers because, look, typically as a first-time buyer, you're a little bit younger, right? You're not quite as established in life, and therefore you don't have necessarily sometimes credit history, but also lump sum cash to be able to devote to purchasing a home. Fast forward to the fall of 2022, a short 6 months later from spring. So the thing working for us now is the prices are coming down, right? So we do have a reduction in prices, but the con, right, which is very well documented right now, is we have much higher interest rates. And in fact, the interest rates are over double what they were, 6 months ago. And that may not sound, if you're newer to this, that may not sound like, what's the big, they went from 3% to 7%. That doesn't sound that bad. You crunch the math out, it's pretty bad. A payment on that medium home price probably is going to wind up being like, I don't know, roughly $1,000 more a month. You go, oh shoot, okay, the difference in 3 to 7% interest rates, like $1,000 a month on my payment. Yeah, as a rough estimate. So first time, and the problem is that prices are coming down. Okay, that's good, but the rates are going up. The equilibrium point is where prices have come down enough to match rates going up, where you go, hey, we were at a balance point. But the reality is prices came down this much, but rates went up this much, so still your payment winds up being way higher. And that's the tricky position of what we're in right now. So the first-time buyers have this dilemma, which is, so when is it gonna be a good time to buy a house? And the truthful answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I think what we're dealing with now, more than likely, for the people that are going to be honest about it, we're probably going to deal with this for the next couple years, if I did take a guess. Just historically, most downturns like this, hey, they last a couple years, and then you bounce back, right? You always bounce back. This doesn't stay this way forever, but it's going to be a little bit. So if you go, okay, well, what if in 2 years you go, the rates drop, prices came down 10%. Right now they're down maybe 5%. So in 2 years after now, they came down 10%, but the rates were, they come back down, and then the market gets flooded again, and then the prices start skyrocketing again, but the money is cheaper to borrow. Look, there ain't no easy answer here, right? I don't know that there's going to be that perfect time where a lot of people are like, that's what I want to buy a house when it's like that. Well, I don't know that you're going to get that, and neither do you. What I know is this, and it's kind of the moral of the story, which is at some point, everyone in their adult life who plans on owning a home, you simply have to bite the bullet, which typically is going to be a tough, it's going to be like you're going to have to pinch it all together, right? You're going to have to bite that bullet to buy that house, right? Because the truth is, it is way easier to stay and upgrade within the home world once you're already in the game. Getting in the game is the hard part, right? Because that was I had to either cash in my stocks to get my down payment, or I had to save up that much money to float the down payment, or whatever it is, right? Or I had to get my credit and cut back on my expenses. Like, that's the tough part. Once you're in, right? And your home value is going to do whatever it does. Historically, over time, it's going to go up, which gives you a thing called equity. That way, that day that you decide to sell your house, because you're like, hey, we've outgrown it, we need now 5 beds instead of 3, we need to sell my house, and you're like, hey, this is awesome, I'm going to walk away with $100,000 when I sell this house, right? You go, sweet. You take that $100,000 and you roll it into the payment for the new house, right? You see where I'm going. It's much easier to stay in the game, not to mention your credit. As long as you stay up to date and current on your payments, your credit's going to be much better. So, moral of the story, I don't know when is going to be this perfect time that a lot of people are waiting for to buy a house. I don't know that you're going to get it. When I bought mine, it was still a stretch. Truthfully, it was still a stretch. I wasn't sitting on a bunch of cash, which is why I put down, I either put down 3 or 5% on my house, okay? I was like, the monthly payment wasn't the problem at that time. It was good interest rates. I was at 4.5%, right, which is a great interest rate. And the prices were reasonable at that point, but I didn't have a bunch of cash, right? That was my barrier to entry, was like, okay, I could do it on the monthly, but I'm not gonna be able to put down a large down payment, right? Fast forward the clock, 5 years later that I've owned my house, I got a lot of money that's tied up in my house if I were to sell my house one day, right? So get in the game is always the answer for me, is when you can, just get in the damn game, guys, because I don't have a better alternative for you. But that's it. If you need help or guidance in your real estate journey, you can let us know. 1911syndicate.com is where you would do that. If you do not follow our other channel, you can go type in 1911 Syndicate, and you will kind of see the bipolar nature, the Bruce Wayne to Batman that is the 1911 Syndicate, because it's a very bipolar company that does a couple of different things. So anyway, check that out. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, all those good things. We'll see you next time.